Hello, everybody. Welcome to another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. We're here. We're back at it again, and we're going to get on into it. But before we do, as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And with that being said, here's a quick word from our sponsors. Organic herbs and botanicals, skincare and edibles, wellness for body and mind. The Brothers Apothecary. Fine teas and remedies. Ronald Records. From indie gems to classic hits, discover the heart of local music. With live shows all the time, up close and personal, and regular releases on their in-house label. Ronald Records. Supporting the community, one track at a time. All right, thank y'all so much for watching. Again, shout out The Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Here is today's guest.
What's up, guys? I'm Jonesy.
Hello.
How's it going?
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about, who you are, where you're from, what you do.
Yeah.
What's that Tinder profile of your involvement with music?
Got you, yeah. Let's see. So I'm Jonesy. I'm a rapper. I dabble in a little bit of singing too. I'm from Salem, Oregon. And yeah, music's pretty much my whole life. I've been making music for ever and ever, it seems like. So
damn, hell yeah, I dig that. And what got you into music initially?
Yeah. So I come from a pretty musically inclined family. Just my whole family is super passionate about music. My grandpa, he jams on guitar.
Gotcha.
My mom and my dad sing. My sister sings. So I kind of grew up in that environment, just being around music a lot. And my parents actually, before they got divorced, they had their own DJing company.
Oh, okay.
So they would DJ for weddings, birthday parties, events, different things like that. And so from a very young age, probably about 3 or 5 years old, I would go to all their gigs with them.
Oh, okay.
So I would kind of be there in the action. I would always end up singing or dancing in front of just random crowds of people. Yep. And yeah, so that was just kind of I was always the kid who was ready to dance or sing or perform. I just always loved to perform. And my grandparents even said when I was younger, commercials would come on and I'd be in my diaper in front of the TV just bouncing around and stuff. So I think it's just kind of always been, music's probably just always been the biggest part of who I am.
Gotcha.
And yeah, so it's kind of cool looking back now in hindsight, being 27, almost 30 years old, and thinking the different places music has taken me. And I'm really excited.
Yeah, hell yeah, I dig that.
Yeah.
And then when did you get more into the rap and hip hop realm of things?
For sure, yeah. So the cool thing about having DJ parents was they listened to everything.
Yeah.
So I was growing up on classic rock, rap, hip hop, R&B, country, everything.
Yeah, variety was literally the name of the game.
But I actually can remember the very first rap song I ever heard, and it was Outkast. It was, oh my goodness, what song was it? Ready for action, nip it in the bud, we never relax.
Oh my God.
Outkast is everlasting.
Boom, boom. Oh my God.
I like the way you move.
There it is. Thank you. I knew it was
Louise. Yeah.
I'm glad the internet got to watch that happen in real time.
We got to have
I'm the worst with names of anything. So
I know. Or I feel I've told that story 100 times, but it's I go to say it. I'm oh, what song was it?
Everybody knows what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's the most important part.
But anyways, so Outkast. So I Like the Way You Move was the first rap song I think I ever really remember hearing. And I just I loved it. And so the older I got, I just kind of started doing my own, kind of started breaking away from what my parents listened to and just kind of started doing my own music discovery.
Ooh, I'm curious. What did they listen to? Just casual them listening?
Yeah, a lot of country.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking Kenny Chesney, Brad Paisley. But also too, I will say my dad was actually pretty hip. I remember when Drake and Kanye first started kind of dropping all their crazy stuff back in the earlier 2000s 2010s.
Yeah.
My dad he was on it. He was burning CDs
you
of
got to be in the know for that kind of stuff.
He was he even post their DJ career, my dad was pretty big into just always discovering what the latest music was. So yeah, we listened to just so much different stuff, but it was rap and hip hop that always really really stuck with me. And, you know, I'm not even really necessarily sure what it is about it, other than just like the fact that it just like speaks to me.
Yeah.
You know,
If it's what you vibe with.
Yeah, you know, like it's kind of always been what I vibe with. So,
and then what was like your first like recorded moment? This is one I've been asking you recently.
Yeah,
it's a real fun question.
Yeah, like the first recorded, like the first song I ever recorded.
Yeah, like what? What was that experience? I mean, if you could tell us about the song if you want.
Yeah, I've got a good ass story actually. So,
please.
When I was in high school, my grandparents gifted me my first ever like recording kit.
Okay.
It was like the Scarlett 2i2
with like
bundle.
Yeah, with the little red mic and the cable and the headphones.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so I was living at my great grandma's house in Salem, my hometown. And I had like the whole upstairs like master bedroom, and it had like this crazy cool like walk-in closet. So I remember like I didn't have like any studio foam or anything. Yeah. Like my first like setup and the first song I ever recorded was in a it was like a Tupperware tote. And then it had like mattress pad instead of like sound.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And then I didn't even have like a mic stand. So I literally just used like a coffee cup and just like coiled the wire and just like popped it in there. And then I didn't even have a laptop. My homie back in high school, he had a laptop. So like I was just kind of like I was kind of depending on him to kind of, you know, because this is before I learned like how.
He was your first producer.
Yeah, you know, like I didn't know how to hook
your first engineer.
I didn't know how to, you know, run a DAW or like hook up an interface. Yeah. Any of that, you know. I was like, I just got like the beat here, and I got a microphone. I got a microphone, and I got some bars that I wrote down. So that was the first ever experience, and it's kind of crazy to think like, you know, going from there to being like, you know, I've recorded songs like at, you know, studio, it's my studio, or like, you know, I've been to a studio in LA, and it's just like funny to kind of think about like humble beginnings like that. And man,
when you see sorry to cut you off.
No, you're
like
good.
That picture for like the studio that like T-Pain made a bunch of his hits with, how it was like a little like 25 key like audio keyboard and like the crappiest computer speaker. Yeah. Like
I definitely would consider myself like a true blue like bedroom artist for sure. Like everything that even like my songs now, like anything that I've released like pretty much ever has been made in my bedroom, in my home studio. And you know, I could book studio time, but there is something like really like weirdly intimate about just like me being in my space, being at home. Like I'm a people person. Like I can talk to anyone. Like we could hang out. I could record a song probably in front of you. You know? Like we just met today.
Well, surprise.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's part of even the collaborating process. In the realm of like rap and hip hop.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't want to take the wind out of the sails of the middle part where we're going to dig into that more full on.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're gonna hard transition here for the moment. We're putting a pin in it. Because I do have a couple foundation questions I like to check in with everybody on. And this first one, it's one we ask early. It's one we ask often. It's definitely a crowd favorite. What was the first album you ever bought with your own money? Easy money.
The first album that I ever bought with my own money was The End by Black Eyed Peas.
Okay.
On CD. I had like my little like boombox CD player.
Yep.
I think I actually still have that on CD to this day.
Nice. Is it the same CD or
not the same one?
Damn,
I think like it broke or move or something. But I was at a music store. I think I actually got this in Austin, Texas when I was living there a few years ago, and I randomly saw it. It was like $8. I was like, dude, this album's like worth like $100 to me, because that album got me through so much hard stuff when I was younger. And you know, it's funny like because I feel like that album is so slept on. Like even like if my phone dies or like my Bluetooth like adapter in my car dies, I just pop that CD in.
There are some albums that like it doesn't matter when you put it on. Like you can be in any mood, you can be in any space, you can be in any time. Yeah. You could just be like, I just need to put something on for no reason whatsoever. Well, and it always works.
With that album too, everyone obviously knows like I'ma Be, Boom Boom Pow. You know, those are just like two off the top. My Meet Me Halfway. But there are so many slept on songs on that album that like people probably have never heard, and I'm like, I just feel like they were super ahead of their time. That album came out in like 2008. So you know, like for the time and the sound that they were able to create, is pretty impressive to me. So,
oh yeah, I dig that.
Shout out to the Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they watch. So.
Yeah. I hope so.
And then, what was one of the first live shows you ever went to? That was like specifically one you wanted to go to? So like you saw it was happening, you got the tickets, you went to it.
Oh, okay, for sure. I think the first one that I ever went to that I really wanted to go to was for a rapper who goes by the name Super Duper Kyle. He's from Ventura, California. A lot of people know him for his song I Spy with Lil Yachty. But I went and saw him in like 2013 when he released like his first like studio album, Beautiful Loser. And yeah, I went with like two of my best friends, and it was really cool because it was when he was kind of on the come up.
Yeah.
I was in high school, and like I had already been really passionate about music and kind of started dabbling in like writing my own music. Hadn't really quite got to the recording process yet.
Yeah.
But just seeing him, and he was such an he still is, he's such an authentic artist. And he, you know, he like really was just like, you know, he's like, I'm a nerdy gamer dude and I love rap and I love hip hop and I'm going to make music that's going to like sample like Mario or this or that, you know? And like, to me, that was just cool because he was just himself.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of like who I had as like a musical role model, I guess. So I definitely like in the beginning modeled a lot of even just like the things that I did stylistically, whether it be sonically or like music videos or beat selection, you know, a lot of things. He was kind of like the groundwork of what I wanted to be, I think, as an artist. So,
hell yeah, I dig that.
Yeah.
And then before we officially get into more of you in the here and now, do you have a defining moment where you decided you wanted to take music more seriously?
Definitely. So I was in college for about 2.5, almost 3 years. Around my junior year of college, I'm a first generation college student. I still ended up getting an associate's degree.
Nice.
But my family was like super adamant about like me being like the first like kid to go to college, getting a bachelor's degree. I was studying journalism. And I just got to a point, I actually started like my music like really started to kind of like take off more in college in terms of like I was doing like college shows at like bars or parties or doing basement shows. And, you know, like I really just felt like my heart calling to that. But then I had this other part of me that like was trying to appease people like back home, you know? So I got to a point where I took like 6 months off of school just to kind of try to get my head straight and just kind of see what I wanted to do. And then after taking that break, I just kind of realized I was like, you know, I love my family and like I do want to make them happy, but I want to do it on my own terms.
Yeah. I mean, technically you still did it.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
You did it.
So that was my whole thing. That was like, you know, that was kind of my compromise is like, you know, I didn't want my credits to go to waste anyways because I had still put in the time, right? Yeah. So I just transferred down to a community college, got my associates in like 2 months, actually right before COVID too. So I like hit a buzzer beater with that.
Hell yeah.
It was actually super clutch. But yeah, no, I would say like college was just really kind of the time where I was like, you know what? Just because I'm good at school and just because like other people want to see me do good at school doesn't mean that that's what I'm meant to do.
Yeah.
And it was like a hard thing too, because so many people were like, oh, like you're so musically talented and inclined. And just like, you know, we can remember when you were 3 years old and like you would just be singing and dancing in front of people. But then it's like, oh, but go get that degree.
Yeah. But don't worry about that.
So it just seems like the older that I got, the like less like encouragement I was getting to follow my dreams. But I think that's just kind of like the reality part of growing up.
Yeah. There is this interesting window. And you were kind of more on like even like the tail end of it ish, where like the idea of becoming successful like with music as like a lifestyle. Really, it was the first like the generation that we both kind of exist in between. Yeah. It was the first time people were like, oh, this could be your whole life.
No, yeah.
Like up until that point, everybody was like, oh, we're doing it for the music. And then people were like, wait, you could do this as a career.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Everybody who didn't understand music the right way looked at it as like, there's no way. Like, that's not me. That's like basically being like a famous football player. You're probably not gonna.
It was like kind of tormenting at times too, I think, to see like to be like, you know, 19, 20 years old and even like 21, 22 years old, you know, like thinking back like 5 years ago, to see so many people my age or younger than me. And this is kind of like where like social media can kind of like take a toll on your brain. See all these kids that are like younger than you or like around the same age, or like you see like 17, 18-year-old kids are like blowing up overnight on like, you know, this is even like before TikTok, just like on Instagram, you know, and you're like, damn, you're like, you know, it was rough, you know, but I have so much belief in myself that I'm like, well, if they can do it, I'm like, exactly, sure, I can do it. Yeah. So it just kind of got to a point where I had to have so much undeniable belief in myself that it triumphed over the pressure that I felt from my family that like I wasn't making a smart decision.
Yeah.
You know, and at the end of the day, like if you're happy, like make the decision that's going to make you happy.
Exactly.
You know?
That, and I always like try to like say make your decision based off of the control you have over your future self.
For sure.
So like if you're like, you know what, like I was saying off camera, like I'm not going to have kids. I know I'm not going to have kids.
Yeah.
That's fine. I have no problems with kids. I have no problems with people having kids.
Yeah.
Have kids if you want to. Totally fine. But I know that I'm not going to. So I can make some decisions for, the future of the show, future of myself as a person, based off of that, knowing that decision is one that I made. And sometimes that is more important than doing what seems like the most lucrative or the most like ideal for the human experience in general, because at the end of the day, your future stays your future.
I've just kind of always been like a go against the grain kind of guy. Just kind of want to do my own thing, and I think that's probably every artist in the world probably feels that exact same way, right? So it's like, it's just, we all kind of have that point where we have to make a decision like, okay, do I want to spend my life doing what someone else wants me to do, or do I want to at least try? And that doesn't even mean you have to be doing it full time. I wish I had the liberty and ability to do music full time. Right now I don't. That's still the goal. But it's like, even if you're spending a couple hours of your week doing something that like you absolutely love and that makes you so happy, like you're living your dream, you're living that truth,
That, and you don't, we're really getting into the weeds for the beginning portion of this, but you don't have to have lucrative success to be successful with your music.
No.
Yeah. You can always be like, I always judged how good music would be from my own stand, like how when it came to me putting out music, because as artists we all hate what we put out. We're like, not hate it, like we love it, but we hate the idea of putting it out because we're like, like it's so vulnerable, it's so this, it's so that. But to be in love with witnessing it getting better every time, so to figure out how to put it out, and to, instead of loving just the process, loving the results getting better.
For sure.
That is like the difference. That's where you can be like, oh my God. Like,
and that's something that I feel like, even to like, if you went and listen to my discography right now, like I feel like every song, whether it's the song in its entirety or just one specific part, whether it be like, the mixing or the lyrics or the storytelling or whatever, like I feel like every song is not only an opportunity for me to get better, but I also like feel like I'm showcasing that I'm getting better with every song.
Exactly.
So that's why I tell people, like, if you're an artist, and like you hear it from everyone, but like never stop putting art out. Like never stop.
No.
Like, never stop.
If y'all go check out Machado Majiga's episode and go listen to his music, this man has hundreds of songs.
That's amazing.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
and they're all
amazing.
And I listened to as many of them as I possibly could.
Yeah.
And they're all good.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about him. We're here to talk about you. And I feel like we've kind of covered the answers to this question enough. So let's go ahead and let's get on into more of the present day.
Yeah.
And we're going to break it. We're going to get a super easy one out of the way first, though. How'd you pick the name?
Oh, so Jonesy's super easy. My last name's Jones. And actually, this is like, so I used to go by a different stage name. I'll give a little backstory blurb. Up until like 2 years ago, I went by the stage name Mr. Boy Wonder. And I released like 3 projects under that name, bunch of singles.
Damn, I wish I'd have known that. I would have wanted to check that out.
Shows. Yeah, no, it's okay. You can actually still go look at all the Mr. Boy Wonder stuff. I'm very vulnerable. I've debated deleting just all the music.
Don't.
There's a whole separate Spotify and Apple Music page. You can type in Mr. Boy Wonder and you can listen to my whole 3rd project. And honestly, like that's still probably one of my most like proud moments as a musician was that I spent like 6 months just pouring my heart and soul into that project, was able to bring it to life. And I got so many cool just opportunities out of that.
Yeah.
Whether it was shows or, interviews, or, I got to open for Bryce Vine. Like,
oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I got to open for Bryce Vine. That was like the last big show I did under the Mr. Boy Wonder moniker before I decided to kind of go for a change.
That's a good name.
Yeah, no, it's
good
not
name.
bad. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Jonesy is rad too.
Yeah.
Like,
I think Jonesy is just kind of like for me, well, I didn't even give myself the nickname Jonesy. My last name being Jones.
Yeah, it just kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah, like people in high school, just because Jones is such a common, just kind of generic name, like everyone just kind of started calling me Jonesy, and it just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
So it was kind of always like Jonesy / Mr. Boy Wonder, and then I was like, I just didn't really identify with the Mr. Boy Wonder, I guess, anymore, just because I felt like I had grown and changed, and my sound had kind of evolved in a different way. And I felt like I was kind of boxing myself in.
Yeah.
Because that name was, instead of just being me, it was more of like an alter ego.
Yeah.
I guess I would say. It was like the superhero version of me. Like, it was me kind of trying to heal my inner child, like trying to feel like a superhero, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm pretty like confident, like the man I've become and who I am and what my sound is. And so like now it's just Jonesy.
No, I dig that.
Yeah.
And I will say, it's a cool name. It's very straightforward. It's easy to spell. It's easy to remember.
Yeah.
It's got a J in it, so it's obviously great.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
And it just, it as far as names go, it is super cool.
Yeah.
I will say, Mr. Boy Wonder as an alter ego, like kind of like the Victor Vaughn versus MF Doom.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is like a cool element.
No, for sure. I even think I don't listen to as much of him as I used to, but in high school, like Logic was a really big inspo for me. And like The Incredible True Story was awesome. He started doing the Bobby Tarantino tapes, right?
The Incredible True Story. I'm not a huge Logic fan. I love that album,
dude,
from start to finish.
It's
and the only way I'll listen to it.
And even the skits.
Oh, it's one of my favorite parts.
Yeah,
the fact that he got
so
the voice actor it was Spike from Cowboy Bebop, and then was it Big Sean?
Yeah, he had Big Sean on there too.
Like it just like what?
So cool.
Such an amazing album.
Such an amazing album.
Yeah.
So, and he also has like his Bobby Tarantino mixtapes too, where he kind of has an alter ego. So I've even like debated like doing like a Mr. Boy Wonder's like greatest hits like mixtape. And since I did 3 different mixtapes in that era, just handpicking like my 2 favorite songs even from like each album. And then like going back in and maybe like now being older and having more experience and like a, different sound, like going back in and just kind of putting like a more modern touch on them,
Yeah.
So
you call the album like
I'm glad that you messed with the Mr. Boy Wonder era, because
like I said, I didn't get to check it out. I didn't know. Now I wish I could have.
Well, you sound stoked on it without.
Well, I'm going to check it out now.
Yeah, you got to.
If you bring any of the songs back, like you were saying, you should call the album like Suits Up Again.
Oh, that'd be tough.
Yeah. So like super cool. Or like One Last Job.
Yeah, One Last Job. Yeah.
I will voice act all the skits for that if you do.
Okay, bet.
I'm putting it here.
All right,
putting it here, so it counts. But now, actually, that segues well. Let's go ahead and let's talk about your writing process a little bit.
Yeah.
And we're gonna break it up into chunks, but we're gonna start right at the beginning.
Okay, for sure.
So when you get inspired, to make music.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you do to get a track started?
Yeah. I think the main thing for me is just like peace and quiet. Like I need to be like isolated, and that doesn't even necessarily like. Sometimes I'll start writing a song in the car. Most of the times these days, I used to write most of my songs in the car. Nowadays, it's usually in my home studio at home. But I need to like just have 0 distractions. I need to be in the moment. And usually it'll just start like my homie Astro, Beats by Astro Boy, great producer. He just sends me beats on beats on beats. Or he will just like have like just so many like X amount of beats like uploaded to his YouTube. So I usually start there because that's my homie.
Yeah.
He's produced the last couple of songs, so I usually kind of try to start there. But yeah, usually it'll just start off as like listening to an instrumental, just trying to like kind of clear my mind. And then honestly, like the way that it starts is usually just trying to get the melody. So when I first write, I'm actually going for the vibe. Or I go for the words.
Okay.
I don't know if that's everyone, but I kind of will do like the mumbly.
Yeah, the bacon eggs.
Yeah, like the mumbly like melody, kind of just to like kind of just get the most authentic, like whatever I'm feeling inside at that moment when that inspiration does hit, I want to get it out of my body and then kind of be able to turn it into something from there.
Actually is a name for that now.
Yeah.
Like somebody said it once and it's like there is like something I actually you can call that particular action.
Because see, the thing is like if I'm going for a feeling, right, and I'm listening to an instrumental and I'm going for a feeling, I can turn that feeling, those melodies. I have a syllable count, so I can just put the words with the syllable count.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like my most probably used and most recently used process for writing. Now there are some times too where like I will just like randomly just like get out the pen and paper and just start like scribbling away.
Okay.
But I would say more often than not, like I kind of need to be in my space, have like the microphone ready. That way, as soon, equipment on, microphone ready. And that way, like when I kind of start getting that feeling to
you can just
come out of me, then I can punch it in.
Yep.
So usually when I start, I will just I call it, what do I usually call it? I just call it like flow. So I'll just like punch in and I'll just be like, gibberish. It's like gibberish flow. Yeah. Just whatever, and then I'll go back in and then I actually will write it out and then kind of expand on it too, obviously.
Yeah.
So, and usually that's only just for like the hook or maybe for like a hook on a verse.
Yeah, and then once you kind of,
and then once I get that, I don't need to do that for the whole song. It's just kind of to get that initial vibe, and then I'll write out from there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to like putting the words down, are you typically going pen to paper, or do you do it on your phone, or do you just mainly punch in?
I would say pen and paper is probably less. I've been trying to be better about pen and paper. My parents actually got me a really cool book for Christmas. It's called Lyrics and Shit. And so I've been trying to like actually, I've even just put like topics in there too. Even just like one word like sky or grass or...
Yeah, jumping off points.
Yeah, just jumping off points to kind of give me like a topic or a theme. Usually it's my phone though. I'll be totally honest with you. It's
the most common one to a certain degree. It's always there with you.
Just because like iCloud too, I mean, it's like...
it's on everything.
I know it's going to be on my laptop. It's going to be on my phone. It's going to be on my desktop. It's going to be on everything. So.
Good old Apple.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that whole ecosystem really works when you put it to the work.
For sure.
And then once you get a track finished writing, how long does it usually take you to feel comfortable enough to perform it?
Oof.
And like, it doesn't have to be like recorded and released, but just like when you're able to start memorizing it.
Oh.
How long does it usually take you to close that gap?
It doesn't take long at all, to be honest.
Okay.
And there's a lot of times too, like if I'm driving and I'm listening to an instrumental and I come up with a song, I will, like if I come up with the hook, this actually happened with a song I wrote recently. I had to just sing the hook or rap the hook over and over and over again.
Yeah, so you wouldn't lose it.
Minutes till I get home, or till I got to like a red light where I could like boom and like voice record it real quick, But no, usually I think performing has definitely like always been my strong suit and still is to this day. So like performing is never really a problem. But there's definitely like I love to perform demos, honestly, at shows. Like, I've done that more often than not, and yeah, it's fun. I'm usually ready to perform like right away.
Oh yeah, I dig that.
Yeah, like I think I could write a song and probably that night or the next day be able to perform it.
Hell yeah. Oh my God, sorry, my notes got all weird here.
No, you're all good. You're all good.
Bear with me while I fix technology. Haha, I did.
Nice.
Right. And actually, that segues well. Let's go ahead and let's talk about some of your music.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, I did not get to check out Mr. Boy Wonder.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
Maybe I'll punch in something in post. Probably won't though, but I did check out what you got available under the Jonesy name.
Yeah.
And you've got music going back to 2023 on there, so a little more recent in the realm.
Yeah, for sure.
You clearly had an idea of what you wanted to do, like right from the start. And I did check out everything you have.
Oh hell yeah!
A little bump and plays for me today.
Okay, tight.
But it's very tight. It's very solid. Your delivery is very tight. Your flow is very articulate.
Yeah,
but not like overly so. Like you're not getting like Chris Webby on everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like you've got a delivery. You also have a bit of an edge and a bit of swag. You know when to kind of lean into things. And very Obby the Nomad ish.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, but with like a little more like West Coast twinge, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think like the West Coast thing, especially just because like growing up in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, like you are the West Coast.
Yeah, like I've debated like leaving like the PNW so many times. I did like one time briefly for a year and I ended up coming back. And I think when I was younger, I always like wanted to leave like the PNW, but I'm like, I would rather I think stay here and like just be able to be a beacon and like try to build like something here.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, was that 1 year in Texas?
Yeah.
I believe that's where Obby the Nomad's from.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Uncorrelative attachment.
Yeah.
But getting back into it, I really like your beat selection.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
And it's very consistent, but you also have a good variety of sound. That really stands out. You got some that are more vibey, some that are a little heavier, some that are a little bit on the headier side.
Yeah.
Let Me Talk My Shit in particular was definitely on the tougher side.
Yeah.
Fun one, but there is a consistency. Like it's like you clearly, like I said, you have your delivery locked in, and your most recent track, Portland Showers.
Yeah.
It's a vibe.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The acoustic guitar actually did make me think Rainy Day.
Yeah.
Like the feel of it.
Dude, yeah.
That to the T.
When Astro, I can't remember if he sent me that beat or I just found it. He actually redid that beat for me to make it even better after I had wrote out and I sent him a demo and I was like, hey, like I got this track Portland Showers. He's like, bro, he's like, this is so tough. He's like, let me go back in. He's like, I'm gonna redo the beat. I'm gonna touch it up a little bit. But yeah, no, I think like even just what I was talking about with my process, I feel like if you go listen to my songs, you can kind of like understand, you know, like, I'm really just like trying to like curate like a specific vibe and a specific sound. And I think also too, like I had to break away from the Mr. Boy Wonder stuff to be able to create the sound that I have now. Yeah. And I love like the variety that I have with tracks right now. Like everything from Stomp in the Yard, that's got like, you know, I feel like that's a really good, well-rounded song. But then my song Illinois is like no chorus, no hook. It's just straight bars the whole way through. Let Me Talk My Shit, super fun, just like goofy, like hyped up, like, you know, just like,
as the name implies.
Yeah, just let me talk my shit. You know, and then we've got like love songs like Portland Showers, you know, like I feel like I've got a little bit of everything. I think going forward, I definitely want to try to get into like some more like heavy hitting stuff. Yeah.
Well, it's cool that you were able to like kind of take as much as you did from your first project because it sounds like you are approaching this current one a lot more intentionally. You're like, I have like, not only do I have a direction, but this is all practice.
So that's the thing. I mean, like, throughout this new era of me going by Jonesy and like having kind of this new sound, like even now, like I've got like 5 songs that I'm sitting on, but it's just like I'm very carefully, because the Mr. Boy Wonder era was so experimental. Yeah. I'm not limiting myself to experimentation by any means. Like if anything now, I'm probably experimenting more than I ever have.
Yeah, you just want it more polished.
But yeah, like I have a very more polished idea of what things look like. And also too, like I want to stick to like just releasing singles, but also releasing them in an order that makes sense, not even just for how they all connect to each other, but even just for like where I'm at in my life. Yeah. You know, if I'm kind of going through it, but I've got like this really cool, like hard hitting, like heavy upbeat song where like I'm just like, you know, just like rapping my ass off and like kind of flexing on it. But if I'm not feeling that in that moment, I might not want to
do that.
I might not want to release that. So yeah, it's just kind of more of a curation now that I'm trying to do with music, but
no, I dig that. Yeah. And actually, that segues well to this next one. Out of all the music you have available, what are some of your favorite tracks to perform?
Ooh, I think Love Don't Love Me Back. That one. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that one's super fire. That one I performed when I opened for Billy Marchiafava in Seattle, and that was actually still in the demo stages, and everyone loved that one. And I think when I got back home from that show, I ended up sending it off to be released later on. Okay. I love that one. This Ain't a Crush is also super fun, just because that's kind of like, I don't know, just like silly, lovey-dovey Jonesy. Yeah. Right? Just being like, hey, like I got a crush on this girl, but like it's not even just a crush. Like I really like her, and it's kind of just me just kind of trying to put the moves on a girl, you know? And I think that one's fun too, because you've got like the really fun upbeat first half, but then it changes. It has the beat switch, and then there's like the little radio skit, and then it switches into like a more R&B. Yep. But then it's like an inflection of the original chorus. Yeah, I love This Ain't a Crush. I would say that one. Love Don't Let Me Back, and probably Stomp in the Yard are my top 3. Hell yeah. And Stomp in the Yard is the first one that I put out like when I did like the rebranding for my music, and yeah, that one still holds up crazy to this day. So
hell yeah, I dig that. Now I want to take a moment, then I want to kind of zoom out and look at more music as a whole. Yeah. What are some of the things you're listening to right now?
Oh, for sure, yeah. I listen to actually a lot of really low-key artists. So my brand that I've kind of created in this new era is called Kinda Sorta Famous. And so I've actually created like a playlist called Kinda Sorta Famous Radio. And so I've been like really into music discovery lately. I've been trying to find a bunch of other artists similar to me who are, you know, kind of sort of famous in their own regard, but just maybe don't quite have like the following yet. And so I've actually created a really great playlist of just like random artists. Some of them are from the West Coast, East Coast, all over the world. But definitely lots of probably alternative rap, I would say right now. Amine, Smino, Buddy out of California is super, super underrated. I also too just like love a lot of like female artists too that are super fire. There's so many like crazy good female rappers in the game right now that I feel like are like super slept on. Lexa Gates, Samara Sin. I listen to a lot of female rap, to be honest, just a lot of female artists in general.
Yeah.
So I try not to box myself into too many things. At least like I'm like, if I'm gonna box myself into like rap and hip hop and R&B, then I'm gonna try to like be broad about the kinds that I listen to and consume. So
exactly, yeah. There's plenty of it out there.
Yeah,
might as well not lock yourself in too much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then before we move into the next portion, this next question is probably the densest question in the interview.
Okay, bet.
But we've talked about your experience with music, the actions, the reactions.
Yeah.
But when it's just you and music, one-on-one. What does music give back to you?
Oh my gosh. Music literally it just breathes life into me, to be honest. Like no matter like what I've gone through in my life, like music has remained the one thing, like the one true thing that has remained consistent is music and its effects on me and just how much I love it. And I feel like without it, I don't even know where I'd be, to be honest. I don't even want to think about where I'd be. But yeah, no, I have a great relationship with music. I listen to music all day. Every day, everywhere I go, anywhere I'm at, any chance I get. It actually like genuinely freaks me out how many people go throughout their day without listening to music at all. Yep. Or like their only like music consumption experience is like in a Target. Yeah. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Yeah. But yeah, music is it helps me escape from, like real world problems that I might be facing. It also just kind of gives me like reassurance. Like I feel like the confidence boost I could get from a single song, like or like just like that serotonin boost from a single song, like it can really change your day. Like it could literally change your day, or even just somehow like sometimes you'll have like these random moments where like a song that comes on and like if you have headphones on or you're in the car just like perfectly fits the moment that you're in. And so it's things like that, I feel like it's just such a heaven sent thing, like music. And yeah, it's otherworldly sometimes, I think, for me.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to some hypothetical questions. Tight. And for these, sky's the limits. The questions are all made up, so the answers are allowed to be as well. Okay, bet. But this first one is pretty straightforward. If you could work with any one person, the only requirement is they have to be alive. Okay. Who would you want to work with, and how would you want to work with them?
Oh my goodness. I think, to be honest with you, if I could work with I could probably think of like 100 different people. So I'll just think of the first one that comes to my mind. I love J. Cole.
Hell yeah.
Like, obviously there's like the whole like big three, like GOAT rapper debate. Whoever you have, you can't deny like J. Cole is crazy talented. Yeah. Not only as like a rapper, as a producer, as a creative in general, as an artist, yeah. as a curator. I would love to work with J. Cole just because I love like how unbothered he'll be. Yeah. Even in like the midst of like a crazy rap beef, like J. Cole's just like the type of dude, he's like, I'm just gonna ride my bike around like, like downtown New York, like unbothered, and I'm gonna go home and like I just think like he's got, and I'm sure he's got crazy stories. I'm sure he's been through a lot of crazy things, but I feel like he's really like done it the right way and like really like stayed true and authentic to himself. So whether that would be like J. Cole like makes a beat for me, or even like it had like a feature on a J. Cole song, I think it would just be cool to be in a room with him, rack his brain. I've heard so many stories from other artists who've like been in a room with him, and like he's the type of dude where if like he's in a room working with people and the energy's off, like he'll just remove himself because he's just not gonna be around that. Yeah, that's kind of like the approach I take to life too. I'm like, if something's causing me distress or negative energy, like I'm gonna just remove myself. It's just easier that way. So hell yeah. But yeah, J. Cole, one of my biggest inspirations for sure.
I dig that. And then subsequently, who's a local artist that you're aware of that you haven't gotten to connect with yet that you would like to?
Okay, bet. I would say there's a couple different ones. I think probably, and I think I know you've had Boca on here before. You've had Boca.
Shout out Boca.
Yeah, shout out to Boca. I don't even think Boca knows who I am, but big shouts out to Boca. And then Dante as well.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Dante.
Yeah, shout out Dante as well.
Yeah, Dante the Apple, right?
I've had a conversation with him. Yeah. I haven't gotten him on the show, but super cool dude.
I've known about them for a while. I've kind of been like, now that I'm trying to kind of do this whole kind of sort of famous radio thing. At first it was kind of like a clothing brand, and then like it kind of has turned into like this radio thing, and now I just kind of want it to be a collective, kind of even like in the same regards as this podcast, where it's like all these different people you've had on here, all these different people you've had on the show, like have a connection to each other now.
Exactly. Yeah, the throughway is
like I'm kind of trying to do the same thing. So yeah, I think Boca and Dante both like are two dudes that they've been around for a while. They've been making music for a while, and I'm kind of just now tapping in and learning more about them. But yeah, I'd love to work with them.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, you know what to do. At them in the comments. Let's see if we can make that happen.
Let's get it going.
And then for this next one, like I said before, sky's the limits, and it's pretty literal in this sense.
Okay.
But if you could perform anywhere in the world, and you wouldn't have to worry about crowd access or building stability or power.
Limited.
Guaranteed the best lineup, guaranteed the best show. And it doesn't have to be a venue. It could be anywhere.
Yeah.
Where would you want to perform?
Dang. I want to say it would have to be like Oregon, just because I want to pay like homage to like my home state.
Yeah.
I think it would be really cool. Actually, where I filmed, I don't even know how this would work, but if this is a hypothetical, then I'm going to go for it. Where we just filmed my new song, Portland Showers, the music video, we filmed it at Silver Falls State Park, and then also Multnomah Falls. I think a waterfall themed park would be, or like a waterfall themed show would be so cool. Like either of those parks.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool. I think like Multnomah, if you did Multnomah Falls, it's kind of a basic location, but everyone like knows about it. And if you could find a way to like have me be up on that bridge and somehow have the audio to come down and not be disrupted by the sound of like water like literally crashing behind me, I think that would be killer.
That would be rad.
That'd
for
be
sure.
super cool. Like, like have like some helicopter like spotlights coming down on the bridge, and then everyone could literally just conglomerate like on the path going up to it, or like on the staircase like at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then you could do like an after party like at the Multnomah Lodge. I think that'd be super cool.
Oh yeah, that would be rad.
I was saying Silver Falls at first, but I just think access wise,
Multnomah makes more sense.
Right off like the highway. I think that'd be super cool. So yeah, I mean, crazier things have happened. Maybe I'll make it happen one day. So.
Oh yeah, I dig that.
Yeah.
And then to wrap up the hypothetical questions.
Yeah.
If you could get one more album from anybody, they could be alive, they could be dead, they could have not put out an album in 100 years, could have put out an album yesterday.
Yeah.
Who would you want an album from?
Oh, I need a new Bryson Tiller album.
Ooh, okay.
I love Bryson Tiller.
Okay, let's.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know he just put out an album, and for him, like that's a pretty big ordeal.
That was like a year ago now, wasn't it?
It's already been like a year. Yeah, I could have said Frank Ocean, but I'm sure like the people I've had on here.
Well, not as many people, but I say it almost not every time. But I say it enough.
Yeah.
Frank.
Yeah,
come on,
Frank. We need the album, bro. It's been so long.
My go-to answer is always Tyler, the Creator.
Oh, hell yeah.
I know he just put out one not too long ago, but I need another one.
I will say, like, as someone who's been listening to Tyler, the Creator, not to get off topic, but as someone who's been listening to Tyler, the Creator, like, since, like, Goblin, right? Yeah. When I was in, like, middle school, like, freshman in high school, Chromacopia was so cool. Because
good.
I like to see him through all these different eras. Like I've enjoyed like every Tyler era for sure. Some more than others, but like this one, to hear him like talk about just like, I guess it's just because like now I'm 27 and I just get it. I guess now like I'm older, like my frontal lobe is fully developed now. So it's just like, like he's just talking about so much like relatable, like real life stuff. And I love Tyler, like when he pops his shit and like when he flexes, like that's great. But to hear him talk about like, the real world, from, like, family and relationship problems and girl problems and his mom and this, like just everything. I think that was super refreshing. That's definitely, if we could get another Tyler album like that, that'd be so fire.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah. But Bryson Tiller, I need a new album.
He watches the show too, so I'm sure we're going to be getting one soon.
I need a new album, and I feel like I'm ready for the Bryson Tiller feature. So
hell yeah. Rambo is still one of my favorite songs.
Oh, Rambo!
That whole album. I love that. Like I have to cover that album pretty much every time I listen.
You can't listen to one, and also too, that's one of the albums too where like every song transitions into the next too.
Yeah, and it does it
easy listen. Yeah,
it's not one of those ones where it's like you realize suddenly you're 3 songs in.
Yeah,
like the songs are still different. He mixed it together well.
So nicely. Yeah, that album, honestly, I had that on vinyl.
Oh, okay.
And that is like probably
that is one I need on vinyl.
That's in my top 5 favorite albums for sure, all time. Trap Soul. I think that kind of Trap Soul was cool because being a rapper and also someone who is so inspired by like R&B. Obviously you've heard people, different, even like J. Cole's done it. Obviously Drake was probably like one of the first like notable people to like really like rap and sing at the same time. But like Bryson Tiller did it in such a crazy way that I feel like that just like opened my eyes.
Yeah.
And like opened my mind to like what music can be. You know, I feel like I kind of pushed the limits on what it could be. So
no, that is a great answer.
Yeah.
All right. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping this up.
Yeah.
What can we look forward to between, let's say, now and July?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely some new singles coming between now and July. I've got this one that I've kind of been teasing. I'll just say the name of it. It's called Wants and Needs. That one will also have a music video as well. So
Okay.
the same homie, my homie, shout out to Will Ryan. He came out from New York and we filmed the Portland Showers video. We also filmed a video for an unreleased song that will be dropping at a later time. So I'm super hyped on that. Also going to be trying to get some more shows going too. Local shows in Salem, obviously my hometown, but I'm really this year like really trying to get my foot like into the Portland scene more. You know, being someone who grew up like, you know, 60 minutes south of the I-5 from Portland, like I've always like been in Portland, but like haven't like really immersed myself.
Yeah, you have to go to Portland for a reason.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, not to just like be there.
So, you know, I'm trying to, the goal I think eventually is to move up there for sure. But just kind of trying to immerse myself more into Portland. I want to learn more just about like the music history there. You know, I feel like as, you know, as an artist, I want to be a student of the game. I also want to be a student of the location where I'm at. You know, I want to make sure that I'm able to pay homage to all the other artists who have come before me. Yeah. So yeah, just kind of trying to immerse myself more into the Portland hip hop scene for sure.
Hell yeah.
And then yeah, new singles, new music video for sure. And hopefully a couple features. I have some features in the works. I've always kind of been more of like a lone wolf. I get like kind of weirdly protective over my music and my sound, and I'm not super big on letting like too many people in unless I like know that like A, it's gonna work, and B, that like their intentions are just like true, and it's like, you know, we're moving with love and not just like trying to like, you know, so because some people really just want to try to like just ride the wave. You know, some people like see the wave that you're catching and they want to hop on too. But I've got 2 feature songs that I'm working on right now with really great talented artists, not even from Oregon necessarily too. So I think that'll be really fun.
Hell yeah. Well, definitely looking forward to all of that.
Yeah, brother.
For this next one, go and look straight at your camera. Tell everybody how they can find you.
Yeah. All right, guys. So you can find me on all platforms under the name Jonesy. It's just Jones with a Y at the end. I've got 9 singles out now on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, along with some crazy music videos too. You can also follow me on all platforms at Hey Jonesy, just Hey Jonesy, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all the spots.
Hell yeah. And then any other plugs, any other shout outs, anybody else you want to put on while you're on here?
Yeah, I want to give a couple big shouts out. So shout out to my homie Astro Boy Beats. He has produced the last 2 singles, my song Portland Showers and Big Homie. Astro is just like a huge integral part of what I'm doing right now. I've told him this before. I don't even know if he's ever heard me say it like this, but I just want to say thank you for everything that you've been doing for me lately. Shouts out to the homie Will Ryan III, amazing music video director out of New York City, for all the videos that you've been putting together for me. And a huge shout out to my homie Sam, my mixing engineer.
Hell yeah. And then, that being said, I've got one last question to go.
Yeah,
before we do, I'm going to steal the camera for just a second.
Go for it, yeah.
As always, y'all, please make sure to like, subscribe, push all the buttons, do all the things. You know, I don't know where they are, but you do, and I trust you. And one more shout out to the Brothers Apothecary, Ronald Records, and Portland Water. Thanks for keeping us hydrated. And with that being said, the final question. And this is entirely up to your interpretation.
Okay, bet.
But in all of music, what is an album you feel is more on the obscure side? So it's a bit of a deep cut. It's one not a lot of people would know, but it's one you think everybody should know.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to go back to Bryson Tiller.
All right.
Because his sophomore album, True to Self, gets so much shit for not being as good as Trap Soul. But let me tell you, True to Self by Bryson Tiller is actually such a slept on album. It's definitely obscure. It's definitely a deep cut, but like even the intro samples Rain by SWV. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. Just like it's such a Trap Soul was such a polarizing, crazy, great first album. It's like as a new artist, you dream to have an album like Trap Soul, like to be your first, right? It's like hard. It's one of those albums that's like almost seems impossible to like outdo.
Yeah.
And so as a result, you know, a lot of people with a sophomore project were just kind of dogging on it. But I've listened to that project like literally like hundreds of times now at this point, front to back, and it's a great project.
Hell yeah.
Highly recommend. True
That
to
is a
self.
super solid rec.
Yeah.
All right, but with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's really cool to kind of step into your world for this moment.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't ever really been on a show like this before. So this is, you know, we were talking earlier off camera about, you know, kind of checking things off the, you know, off the to-do list or, you know, the things that you want to get done. And this is definitely like a really cool groundbreaking moment for me in my career.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm very glad to hear that.
Yeah. I feel honored.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And this has been another exciting episode of Jimmy's Jambox. I'm Jimmy.
I'm Jonesy.
And we're signing off. Later, y'all.
That's a wrap.
This is not a podcast. This is a show.
Keep jamming.